The White House has stepped back from proposed tariffs targeting European allies after recent diplomatic discussions. The tariff threat was linked to a dispute involving Greenland and broader transatlantic trade relations. Officials confirmed the decision following high-level meetings with NATO and European leaders. Financial markets responded with gains, reflecting reduced uncertainty around US-European trade policy. This development has implications for American consumers, exporters, and long-term diplomatic relationships. Setting the context, tariffs are government-imposed taxes on imported goods entering the United States from foreign countries. When tariffs rise, import costs often increase for businesses that rely on global supply chains. Those increased costs can eventually affect prices paid by American consumers. Tariffs can also trigger retaliation from trading partners, escalating broader trade disputes. The United States and European Union maintain one of the world's largest trading relationships. That relationship includes manufacturing, agriculture, energy, technology, and financial services. Origins of the dispute. Earlier this month, the White House signaled plans to impose new tariffs on several European countries. The tariffs were tied to political disagreements involving Greenland, an autonomous Danish territory. US officials emphasized Greenland's strategic importance in Arctic and national security planning. Denmark and Greenland's leaders publicly rejected discussions involving sovereignty or territorial transfer. European governments warned that linking trade policy to territorial disputes was unacceptable. Escalation and market reaction. Tariffs under consideration range from 10 to 25% on selected European imports. Countries potentially affected included Germany, France, Denmark, and other NATO allies. The proposed tariffs were scheduled to begin in early February. Financial markets reacted negatively as uncertainty surrounding trade policy increased. European stock markets declined, while US futures showed increased volatility. Businesses delayed planning decisions amid concerns over rising costs and retaliatory measures. Institutional response from Europe. The European Parliament responded by suspending progress on a proposed US-EU trade agreement. Lawmakers cited tariff threats as undermining trust and cooperation between long-standing partners. The paused agreement was designed to reduce trade barriers and regulatory friction. European officials emphasized that trade negotiations require stability and mutual respect. Latest development. The turning point came during international meetings at the World Economic Forum in Davos. President Trump announced that the planned tariffs would not be imposed as scheduled. He cited a framework for future cooperation involving Greenland and NATO allies. The White House confirmed that no immediate tariff actions would move forward. However, officials did not release written details of any finalized agreement, clarifying what is confirmed. It is confirmed that the February tariff implementation has been paused. It is confirmed that discussions took place with NATO and European partners. It is confirmed that markets reacted positively following the announcement. No formal trade treaty or binding agreement has been published. No change to Greenland's political status has been acknowledged by Denmark or Greenland. Statements from European officials. Danish and Greenlandic officials reiterated that Greenland's future is not subject to negotiation. European leaders acknowledged diplomatic talks, but expressed caution about long-term outcomes. The European Parliament has not yet resumed work on the suspended trade agreement. Officials emphasize that further progress depends on concrete policy commitments. Impact on American businesses. American manufacturers importing European components face reduced immediate cost risks. Retailers benefit from avoided price increases tied to potential import taxes. Exporters gain relief from the threat of European retaliatory tariffs. Agricultural producers often experience indirect impacts during trade disputes. Supply chains gain short-term stability following the tariff pause. Impact on consumers and markets. Consumers may avoid short-term price increases on imported European goods. Financial markets showed gains as trade uncertainty temporarily eased. Currency markets reflected reduced geopolitical risk following the announcement. Analysts caution that market reactions remain sensitive to future policy signals. Legal and policy framework. US tariffs are implemented under Executive Trade Authority. Any future tariffs would require formal notification and administrative procedures. Congress does not directly vote on individual tariff suspensions. International trade actions must also align with World Trade Organization rules. Timing and what comes next. The tariff pause takes effect immediately and applies to February plans. No timeline has been announced for finalizing any framework agreement. Further negotiations may involve US, European, Danish, and Greenlandic representatives. European institutions must decide whether to resume stalled trade negotiations. Broader diplomatic implications. The dispute highlights tensions between economic policy and geopolitical strategy. Trade policy has increasingly intersected with national security considerations. Allies continue balancing cooperation with sovereignty and domestic political pressures. Transatlantic relations remain essential for economic and security coordination. What Americans should watch: future White House statements regarding trade policy and tariffs, European responses related to the paused trade agreement, market reactions to additional diplomatic developments, congressional hearings or reviews related to trade authority. Closing summary. For now, the immediate risk of European tariffs has been reduced. Markets have responded positively to the easing of trade tensions. However, no permanent agreement has been finalized. Trade policy remains subject to rapid political and economic change. This issue will continue to influence US trade and diplomatic relations.